Tonight on Hot News, I'm looking at the upcoming primaries of the New Patriotic Party on June 20th. They will be going to, of course, elect persons to lead the party in the various constituencies in Parliament, and also they would be affirming President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia as leaders of the party into the 2020 elections. But ahead of the primaries, there are a lot happening already. Well, when you go to Doma Ahinkro yesterday, or I think over the weekend, some youth rampaged. Of course, they besieged the party office and, of course, caused a lot of mayhem over there. Let's go and watch that particular video. We'll be back shortly.
Our condition auto in a machine. I dey almost at my man who did MBB party. MBB party so on yet Tamamun and Nuko for your old yeah. Out of my money. Young people, yeah. The machine never in our never go on. Almost in us. Abu Party office and Abu Bibia. We be our young man when Abu have minister. Tower party office will be a Masseno. A Masseni Bibia. I know Nano. Don't know about about 3 days. A master. But yes, I got to Naka. I'm on your man. I'm not my side. I'm in national secretary. I'm in account. To say no, Sierra report to our police. The Asian say, a police force them. Let's know what you mean because say Obista will be at the end. There's a banyadia, not police for 1%. I'm going to get suspicious. I mean, I don't want to say, your one friend said, Dr. Yawo. I want to know what you're going to Let's see for Appiah MPP, the Mass Central Party Office. So, I have a was answered, I will imagine one in the a little by office where you never know when you ask and you will say, on what Minister Appiah. By the senior man in Ghana, I Assembly, MC officer, MC to catch a Waba, say. Abehe asana ko benche ba kura di Ghana for nje so baba ye de adenti an order police for no aba banche baba ye sa de no damwase. In Saboba yesterday too, there have been some other New Patriotic Party youth who also besieged the New Patriotic Party office in the constituency, and also they also caused a lot of mayhem in the constituency. They burnt some parts of the office. Let's go and watch that particular video. We'll be right back. We will
know that. Let Dominic know that he's an individual and he's privileged to be a defense minister. He can't decide for us. He as an individual cannot decide for us. We can't subvert our will. They should bring all the 4 aspirants, or else we can't tell MPP to Dominic Charles Benton party is over here. That cannot be done. The name is this party has no history of personal interest. They should tell us the reason why our candidate is disqualified. That is the reason. We want that reason. They should tell us why he is disqualified. We are just this. Did you want to come talk? We are told the group. Like come here, we go burn him. We go kill him. We go kill him. Whether he come or not up. If I take us there, we need chance. We don't want chance. If chance come here, he's the chairman. Make you talk us there. They will see the chairman. Chairman will come here. Chairman be fool.
Well, you're still watching Hot News on Pan-African Television with me, Justice Appiah. We're coming to you from our studios in Abelinkpe 48 Swanika Street here in Accra. Today, the New Patriotic Party held a press conference and it was addressed by the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party in person of John Boadu. He talked about the fact that the leadership of the party is considering suspending all persons who engaged in some of these acts. Well, the persons who engaged in the act did that because they think that their preferred candidates were sidelined or disqualified. But today, the party held a press conference, as I said earlier, to talk about the fact that, well, persons who engaged themselves in that are going to be suspended. Let's go and listen to John Boadu after addressing the press conference.
Only one candidate in the person of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo filed to contest in the 2020 MPP presidential candidate. The National Council resolved to acclaim the sole candidate. The National Council overwhelmingly accepted that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, and will soon announce a date for acclamation of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Constituency primaries in the Kwadaso in the Ashanti region have been suspended to further notice. They have issues with the album that we've not finished addressing. So on 20th of June, Kwadaso constituency will not be part of it. Gushebugu constituency in the northern region have been suspended to further notice. Dorman Central constituency in the Bono region has been suspended to further notice. In Dorman constituency, Dorman Central constituency, very soon, after some program has been put in place, we will announce the details for Dorman Central constituency and what needs to be done. The conduct of some members claiming to be invoking cases on the party leadership, and in particular on members of the National Executive Committee, on allegations that their preferred candidates have been disqualified by NEC from contesting in the primary. We are completely appalled by such gross misconduct. Accordingly, the party is instructing the respective constituencies or constituency executives in the constituencies where these unfortunate incidents happen to immediately suspend all those involved in this awkward behavior while instituting appropriate disciplinary actions against them in line with Article 3 and 4 of the party's constitution. And this one we are going to enforce to the latter.
Well, that was John Boadu, General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, addressing a press conference today. Well, he talked about some places where their parliamentary primaries have been suspended, including the Doma Central and some other parts of the country. Quite apart from that, today the National Democratic Congress also held a press conference accusing President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo of failure to fight corruption in the country. They also said that if this government talks about infrastructure development and the fact that they are performing, well, they couldn't have performed better than the previous government. Now, let's briefly go and listen to the National Democratic Congress also. We'll be back, and then I introduce my guest for a discussion to start.
Through this initiative, we shall be taking the pains, one after the other, to do a total record of the numerous corruption scandals in recent time, and how President Akufo-Addo at all times has failed to protect the public purse. While at it, we shall also prove to the Ghanaian people that contrary to the self-acclaimed anti-corruption credentials, President Akufo-Addo is indeed the leader and chief patron of this notoriously corrupt administration. The Bosgate corruption scandal, as you may be aware of, happened in the year 2017, but has been conveniently swept under the carpet by President Akufo-Addo, who thinks that Ghanaians have a short memory. On the 18th of January 2017, 5 million liters of fuel was contaminated at the premises of the bulk oil storage and transportation company of Ghana, BOST. Today, we know that a committee tasked to investigate the Mobituna oil contaminated fuel saga has found that the transaction was criminal and that the proceeds from sale has not been paid into the state coffers till date. But the proceeds from sale have been pocketed by a few corrupt. President Akufo-Addo's much-touted fight against corruption has failed. Brown shall investigate and prosecute all culprits who are involved in this stinking corruption scandal. Notice is hereby said to all those who continue to plunder the assets of state-owned entities like BOST that the day of reckoning, the day of accountability, will come sooner than later.
Well, that was the communications director of the opposition National Democratic Congress. Well, they say communications officer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, Sammy Jamfi, right there. Tonight on Hot News, I'll be joined in the studio by Wilson Dabo, who is a member of the New Patriotic Party communications team. He's my very good friend. Wilson would call me and be like, Justice, you have to tone down on Facebook. Wilson, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Justice. It's been a while.
It's been a while, my brother. Yeah. Yes, and also in the studio is A.A. Gafaro, who is the Northeast Regional Communications Officer. Deputy Communications Officer of the National Democratic Congress. A.A. Gafaro, thank you so much for joining us on Hot News tonight.
You're most welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll start with you, Wilson. We are talking about your upcoming primaries and matters arising. We've seen, some youth of your party, besieged some party offices, burnt other ones, destroyed some properties and all of that. Today, the party held a press conference to address such issues. Your take on that?
Yes, thank you so much. And like I said, it's been months and almost a year.
Very well.
Yeah, that we've met to discuss issues like this.
Yeah.
And then let me officially say good evening to everybody watching us out there.
Very well.
Yes, this is 2020, and therefore it is expected that parties all over, as far as issues are concerned, it's just unfortunate that we are bedeviled with this COVID-19.
Very well.
And therefore things have been delayed, a bit, and very effectively. So, but that notwithstanding, we are making the waves to see how best we can come up with plans and strategies to to maintain power as far as the 2020 elections are concerned.
Okay.
And so these are some of the intra-party arrangements, if you like, put together to see how best. You remember we had our first parliamentary what they call it, primaries of orphan constituencies some time ago, before the emergence of COVID-19.
Very well.
And so we we actually wanted to hold on to the what they call the sitting MPs, so that we'll have an understanding of how to go about things until the lockdown issues came up and all that. So once things are beginning to get back to normalcy, it is proper that once we have a very bigger agenda to work on, which is the December 7th, it is important that we clean up certain things. And so one of it is the leftover primaries, 168 parliamentary candidates that are to be elected to face the general election in December. So yes, NEC had its meeting on it on the 3rd of June to accept the vetting committee's report, disciplinary committee report, and all of those things, and to clear some people for the election, for the primaries, and to disqualify others. And so, as an internal affair, as you would agree with me, even within our own, nuclear family, there are always certain, disagreements and all those things. That one is true. And therefore, it takes leadership and, courage to be able to curtail some of those things, not to be thrown out of, what they call it, control and all of those things. But also,
we cannot talk about some of these issues or internal issues without looking at what is actually generating some of these problems in the party.
Yes.
What are the issues actually?
Yes, I am actually, I'm coming to that. And the premise of it is the fact that we live as a family, and therefore you cannot control issues that might come, unconsciously. Okay. You understand? People were waiting to hear from NEC exactly the outcome of their vetting of their preferred candidates and all that. And so when the final, the list finally came out, and NEC gave some kind of, a blessing to some people and said, and advised that there were other people that were not qualified. You know, you don't just go into, a party ticket because you are just Wilson Dabo. You need to have certain qualifications. You need to have made certain, contribution. You need to have satisfied certain things, mandated by the Constitution. You know, we are not just an organization just out of the blue. And the question, what does your party Constitution say? Yeah, the party Constitution says that candidates who want to, stand for the party must be vetted and approved by the vetting committee. If the vetting committee so decide, according to their report, give a report to NEC that so and so do not pay the standing of the, what they call it, the rules and regulations of the Constitution or the party organization structure do not permit that such an individual should be allowed to contest, he may so be advised to step aside. So I believe that some of those people who have been in one way or the other, advised that they should, rescue themselves from the contest and all that, are the ones who are, being disgruntled about the decision. We cannot discuss this issue without looking at whether or not fairness really prevailed in the decision by NEC. If the party constitution says that, well, persons who qualify would be able to pick up a form and contest for elections in the party, then we should be looking at these persons, whether or not they qualify. The party should also be able to explain to such persons why they think that they are not qualified candidates. So there wouldn't be an issue of other candidates being favored and then other ones. Yes, I understand, but you know, I have been following this since April. The last vetting exercise took place in the northern sector, and I've been following closely what they were doing. In fact, Capo Samuel Oku was in charge of the northern sector and all that. So I am aware that even at that instance, people were giving their grievances as to why they suspect that some people will be disqualified and others. And if you do remember, there was a particular case in what they call in Bolga, where a particular candidate was disqualified, and he ruled certain, grievances to that effect, and they were addressed. And I know that many of these candidates were spoken to prior to next, decision to come out with the final list. They were spoken to, and you know, like I said, you will definitely have some members of your family that will be, no matter how you handle it, they will still come out to register their displeasure. That's how can we have the outspill of some of those people speaking and the cases and all of that. You do remember, growing up, we have come to realize and become, used to some of these, riverside cases and roadside cases and blasting of, eggs and all of those. We know, we know people do that, whether for their own self-interest or whatever that it is up to them. But indeed, I am aware that there have been that kind of internal arrangement.
You're a party person.
Yeah.
What are the bases upon which some persons were disqualified?
Yes, the bases are, there are so many of them. One, you see, one practical example is, are you in touch with the constituents? That is one aspect.
Did the Constitution say that if somebody is not in touch with the constituents, the person should be disqualified?
Of course, yes, outright.
Do you have that in the Constitution?
I am telling you that, Justice, you cannot just walk into your constituency and tell your people that you are a party member, and so you are coming to contest when they don't know you from, let's say, 4 years, 5 years back. It doesn't work in that way. Let's go back to our days of schooling in the universities. If you wanted a position, do you just walk around and say you want a position? You might have prepared yourself, at least being a course mate, one, and popularize yourself, make yourself known to the people. It is the same thing at the national level, at the constituency level. If even you have not had any position at the polling station level, at least you should be able to have people that will vouch for you and say, we know this man. It is not about a family affair that your family members knows you and therefore it ends there. It goes beyond the family level into friendship, into churches and all of that. That is one aspect of it. The other key aspect of it is the fact that what have you contributed to the growth of the party in the constituency? What have you done? What circumstances have actually proven that you have bought one bag of sugar for a Muslim community or for even the Christian community for their fasting season and that kind of thing? You understand? Contribution is key to all of these.
So are you saying that all these persons who have been disqualified
I am not saying
have not met?
No, I am not saying in specific. In the circumstance of what I'm talking about in terms of whether you have been, figurally, you have been known within the constituency. You understand? But I'm saying that within the definition of who qualifies to be a parliamentary candidate in a particular area, all of these petty things count. And we have realized that most of them that have actually been disqualified were based on, the fact that they were not satisfactorily in terms of meeting the standard of the party, constitution, and so therefore they were advised to be, to rather, rally behind somebody.
Now we have some 6 months to elections.
Yeah.
And looking at how things are happening in the New Patriotic Party, where you have some party, supporters besieging offices, destroying properties, and all of that. Don't you think that if care is not taken, some of these issues that are popping up in your party would affect the New Patriotic Party's chances of winning the 2020 elections?
Oh, like I said, I don't think so. It is rather to beef up the interest.
Are we not going to see voter party where some party members would think that, well, if the New Patriotic Party, this is how they treat our preferred candidates, then we're also not going to vote for the New Patriotic Party?
Not at all.
Are we not going to see other persons defecting from your party to other parties?
Independence candidates and all that. Yeah. Not at all. There might. You see, that's why I started on the premise that you cannot control these things. No matter how angelic you are. You remember when in 2015, 2014, 15, up to the 2016 election, you saw what happened with issues concerning some of our national executives and all that, and the utterances that came People were like, oh, because, I mean, the sitting president today cannot control his own party people. That is why these things are being thrown overboard and all that. You understand?
Very well.
Everybody, internally, there are always issues. Whether you are so skillful in managing the issues or not, there will always be some pop-ups.
Okay.
You understand? So I don't dispute the fact that people will be wayward or will go the extent of standing independent and that kind of thing on their own tickets and whatever. But what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, by next week, all of these cases on the streets and the riverside will be brought to control.
But the party is saying that I believe suspending.
No, yes, I mean, there is a directive to identify
somebody from the party, especially when we are getting closer to elections. What are you doing to the party?
Why? It's normal. That is part of the democracy within the party.
We're talking about a lot of people. I mean, the persons who have
it is normal. Justice.
The officers.
It's normal.
We have quite some numbers.
Democracy is not the kind of democracy that you can define as a peaceful one.
Okay.
Whether external engagement or internal engagement, there will always be a time where people will bite each other. I mean, the tongue and the teeth, you can see when it becomes so hard. There is one that is always high, I mean, biting the other so hard. And at the end of the day, they come into a regular consensus of swallowing. That is what is going to happen.
Wilson, I'm a member of the New Patriotic Party. I pay my dues. I do whatever it is that I'm supposed to do. What should prevent me from contesting? Because I lost touch with the constituents?
No. Despite all of those things that you have done, you have to go before the committee to justify that in spite of all of these things that I've done over the years, I qualify beyond that contribution. And you should prove that beyond before the committee that you are capable of doing more of the things that you have already done. Not just, I mean, what you have done in terms of contribution.
Do you think that the NEC has been fair to persons who have been disqualified?
You know, in a game of politics, there cannot be fairness. Fairness is
so you agree
relative.
that they've not been fair to the people who have been disqualified?
Don't take me out of context. I'm saying that in the game of politics, as far as I know,
there's nothing like fairness.
There's nothing like fairness. Fairness could be fairness to you when it is fair. And it will be fairness to Gafaro when it is fair. But it will be unfair to me when it is unfair. You understand? It's relative. Do you get me? So in respect of politics and fairness, there is nothing like, I mean, fairness in politics, just as there is no morality in politics. Whatever you do to win power, it is up to you and your creator. So what I'm saying is that NEC has done its duty, constitutionally mandated duty, by putting out the list for the qualified and disqualified persons for this upcoming primaries. Whatever grievances that are coming are expected, but we believe in the leadership to step in to make sure that there is normalcy and things will go on as far as, I mean, the 20th June primaries is concerned.
All right, thank you so much. That was Wilson Dabo, my very good friend, actually. Very fantastic submission out there. You're still watching Hot News on Pan-African Television with me, Justice Appiah. Keep your messages coming in on 0260846539, 0260846539. We are live on Facebook. Share the video, the live stream for other persons to also watch over there. We're also live on YouTube at Pan-African Television. Gafaro, this is your very first time on this platform.
Exactly.
What's your take? What's your position on what is happening in the New Patriotic Party ahead of the primaries?
Well, thank you very much, Justice.
Do you fear someone?
All right. Thank you very much, Justice. First of all, I must say good evening to your cherished viewers.
Okay.
And to the party leadership. And then to my very own boss, Fortunate Zach Villa in Northeast. And then to the good people of Northeast region.
Okay.
You see, Justice, I appreciate the difficulty in my brother trying to explain or to justify what is happening within their party. It is actually laughable. And Justice,
don't forget that not too long ago you've also had
yes, I'm coming, Justice.
We've heard of some of these issues in yours also.
I'm coming. Not to this magnitude. Justice, you see, I must say that it reminds me of the famous gospel quotation that by their fruits you shall always know them.
Okay.
Right? You see, this is a party, NPP is a party that has no respect for rule of law. They have no respect for rule of law, and we can see it. You've played the video. Your viewers, they've seen that. What is happening? It is not just born out of anything, but out of disrespect to rule of law. They have constitution. Their leadership would always fail to be guided by the constitution, just as President Akufo-Addo and then his entourage has refused to be guided by the 1992 constitution.
He says that NEC within its power, NEC worked constitutionally. I mean, they have a party constitution and they work within, you know, their mandate. Is it by, of course, you know, of affirming some persons and disqualify some other persons they think that do not qualify to contest for the elections? What should be the problem about this?
Justice. These people, they give ignition right and then navigate left. Listen, they would know, they know very well, they know their constitution. They will come and explain rightly for people to actually appreciate that they are following the constitution. But meanwhile, they are doing otherwise. Let's ask ourselves, if they are actually following the constitution, why would there be chaos? Why? You see,
but in every party you have recalcitrant ones.
I am from the
Northeast region.
Let me come. I'm building a point. I am from Northeast region, specifically Naleo Gambao constituency.
Okay.
Same thing is happening. And if I tell you what happens, it is more or less like leadership, both NEC and then their constituency executive. They try imposing candidates on the people. They try imposing candidates on the people. Can you imagine if you are following the constitution? Is it possible that executives would be there on radio stations campaigning for a particular candidate? Is that following the constitution? Is that what their constitution says? Party executives, DCEs, campaigning on podiums, various platforms, both social media and then on mainstream media, campaigning for their choice. They are actually going. So what is what is a level playing ground? My brother made mention that there is no fairness in the game of politics, just as there is no morality in the game of politics. I don't know whether you've heard him right. So if there's no fairness, if you don't follow constitution, if you believe that there's no fairness, that means you will disregard your constitution. Justice, are you getting the point I'm coming from? You definitely disregard your
but he
constitution.
Contextualized, I mean, that statement made that it wasn't as if the NEC wasn't fair to the candidates who have been disqualified. He said that. He said that that wasn't to say that NEC wasn't fair to the candidates.
I am saying that I gave you instances, and specifically from my constituency, where a local government minister is there as an MP, Naleo Gambao constituency. You've heard, it was all over the news. Honorable Peter Baga, one of the vibrant candidates, who was actually seen as someone who would eventually win their primaries. They tried whatever they could. We saw the regional constituency secretary, the regional the regional chairman, as well as other executives wearing the t-shirts of the local government minister, campaigning on radio stations, campaigning for the local government minister. And in fact, they did that, and some of them tried maligning that Honorable Peter Baga, one of their vibrant candidates. They tried maligning him. I mean, actually speaking to the hearing of the public that he has ever peculated public funds. He has ever embezzled funds that were meant to build infrastructure for a college. And then he tried to also come and then take a reprisal. And upon doing so, he also mounted radio station. Upon trying to also take a reprisal, it ended up by them NEC suspending him. As now he has been suspended, and now in fact eventually been expunged from the race.
Gafar, what makes it wrong for party executives to pledge their support for a candidate?
The question is,
because I recall when you were going for your presidential primaries, we've had regional executives, regional chairmen pledge their support for John Dramani Mahama to lead your party. How different is that from those who are vouching and pledging their support for candidates in the upcoming MPP parliamentary primaries?
We are talking about, you see, this is constituency level. And assuming, let me ask you something. Assuming you are the secretary and you come out to campaign to to campaign for a candidate, and it happens that the candidate fails to win, a different person win, one of those he's contesting with or she's contesting with. How would you move together, and how would you, as a regional executive, or a constituency executive, how would you now reconcile those who contested? How will you reconcile them and then move the party forward? This is what we are talking about. Look, I want you people to know currently what is happening, the atrocities, the anomaly that is happening currently is as a result of no respect of rule of law. And I'm telling you that what is happening, Ghanaians must know that what is happening, it is more or less like it is showing us that the MPP are having, or they are in possession of the key to the Pandora's box.
Okay.
And when we give the mandate back to them, when we give power back to them, they would certainly open the Pandora's box onto the Ghanaians, and they will unleash a lot of iniquities onto the Ghanaian populace. So we must be very careful. And as I said, I quoted from the gospel that by their fruits you shall always know them, and Ghanaians must know them.
All right, thank you so much. Viewers are still watching Hot News on Pan-African Television. Keep your messages coming in on Facebook. We're live at Pan-African Television. You can share the video or the live stream for other persons to also be able to watch tonight's program. You would want to respond to some of the things said by your brother.
You know, it's interesting that I expected him to build on a very progressive, democracy that we are building.
Very well.
You know, he sought to go back to the early, what do you call it, 2014, 2015, when they lambasted NPP for all the internal happenings and all of those things. But you see, it didn't wash. You understand? It didn't wash. In August 2019, we all witnessed what happened with their first set of primaries that took place.
Very well.
You understand? People were maimed, others were injured in, beyond what do you call it, attention and all of those things. We didn't see those things to be like, oh, it is like unconstitutional and that kind of thing. But you see, the basis of all this is that I keep telling you that as far as we are a human institution, there can never be a total cordiality, no matter what you do. That is why I made categorical that as far as politics is concerned, you cannot define fairness. You cannot define morality. And once you have a grasp of some of those things, you will come to appreciate why we have varied opinion and elements as activists in the operation of political organization.
Very well.
So you can't satisfy anybody. You can't satisfy everybody. So, but I believe in my leadership.
Okay.
In as far as we have gone one step ahead of what the primaries are, by talking to all these aggrieved candidates, they will be called already as we speak. The national organizer is in the northern sector, and indeed on that kind of tour for reconciliation and for people to understand that it is not all about burning. It's unfortunate what is happening in Sabuba and other places. You can't control it. And even in Dominic Nitiwul's constituency, we have seen some footages of some of those things also happening and all that. But it is expected. And what do? We don't sit down as a party and just look at it. We are going ahead to arresting the problem and make sure that we resolve matters so that we go into the 20th June primaries very peacefully and fair fairness will be rendered anybody that will take part in that.
Very well. Now let's quickly move away from this particular story. Okay.
Really?
So that briefly, so that we look at the other.
You referred to
topic
our
for discussion.
parliamentary primaries that people were maimed, and I don't know whether he can. Prove that.
Oh yes,
you've just alleged.
Tema. You remember Eja? Ajete.
And people were maimed.
Of course. I mean, one person was injured.
That for us. But you see,
seriously injured.
We as a party and as a responsible opposition, we are concerned. We are concerned because not what they are doing to one another because of the disrespect to rule of law, but because it has the proclivity of destabilizing our constituencies, because we are together with them. When they start shooting at one another, because they are not far from doing that, when they start doing that, we ourselves, our lives will be in danger. And so we are concerned, and we are calling on their party leadership to start respecting rule of law and stop imposing candidates on them to ensure that there will be peace, so that we will live as peace.
Nobody has imposed anybody. The late Amel says the Appiah said. Well, now I'll come to you on the NDC's press conference held today. They raised, a lot of issues. One of the issues they've raised has to do with President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's, promise ahead of the 2016 elections that he was going to fight corruption. Unfortunately, the National Democratic Congress wants to say that he has failed when it comes to the fight against corruption in the country. You would want to respond to that?
Oh yes. I thought you would have asked their inner man to tell us why they think that. Okay, but all the same, all the same. I've listened to it, and they were in two shots. Yeah. One has to do with the Green Book. Yeah. Issue, and then the corruption and all of those things. But you see, it is interesting that when a thief turn around and tell you that you are rather the thief, it's laughable.
Oh come on! What do you mean by that?
Yes, Mr. John Mahama is carrying a backlog of scandals. You understand? Most of the appointees, even Felix or Fosu-Kwakye, who was even addressing one of the issues concerning the Green Book, is one person that cannot even. I
hope he will not allege and you wouldn't let him prove.
No, don't worry. That's why you are here.
I'm not here to allege.
You can go ahead.
I'm not here to allege. I am speaking on the facts.
Mr. Felix.
Please allow him. Let us know.
Yeah, I'm saying that, Mr. What do you call it, Felix or Fosu-Kwakye do not have that kind of clean sheet when we are talking about corruption and certain track. Establishing track to track whatever that MPP is done or has done in terms of their our period of operation and all of that. And that is why I said it's just laughable, because when you see a thief and you are chasing a thief, the thief rather turn around and he's chasing you and say you are the thief. Have you ever seen that happen in Mokala Market?
It happens.
Then before you realize the thief is rather carrying the block to pounce on people. That is what is happening with the NDC. When we are talking about corruption and scandalous issues of corruption in their government and even out of government, and we are so being embarrassed globally with issues of corruption, they are rather trying to track perceptive issues of corruption in this country as far as MPP is concerned. Justice, are we serious in this country?
How many of those corrupt officials have you been able to prosecute?
Of course, but the recent one you saw, what happened with the what do you call it? Is it NIC boss? Who was convicted with his other accomplices? You understand? We have the Cocoa Board issue there. Okay, there are plethora of them, and people are already. Some of them are already coming out to say we will pay. We will pay. Venture capital man is saying that he will pay the 48 point something million. That he's owed the country and all of that. So there are evidences to show that this government is committed to what it says it will do prior to the 2016 election. And we have been able to demonstrate that through the establishment and strengthening of some of those institutions by coming up with the special prosecutor. You understand? we have been able to strengthen the Auditor General. We have been able to strengthen the AG department, and they are pursuing corrupt government officials of the former government, even including the present, government. And, you know, when we come to the measure tape of corruption, then people start talking about, they give rumors and perception of corrupt issues. They will go and be talking about, the Australia visa issue. They will go and be mentioning issues of, PDS and all of that. But, Justice, you are, more or less into the media space. Of all those things that have been mentioned, which of them have not been given attention? Of all of those, come from the bust to PDS and all those, allegations.
But they say your government have cleared those people.
Yes.
For which President Dankwa Akufo-Addo has earned the name from.
No, he hasn't earned. He only earned the name, the clearing agent, because he's able to clear the backlog of, arrears. Backlog of, what do you call it, mismanagement.
I thought that they gave him the clearing.
No, it was because of the mismanagement.
Clearing,
it was because of corruption issues and what. No.
Members of his
when we said Nana Addo was a clearing agent, we meant he was clearing the mess.
Oh, okay.
The economic
mess. So the name
mess
was given to President Akufo-Addo by the New Patriotic Party.
No, they not we gave the name, but we wanted people to know that this is a man who came to inherit some kind of mess, whether economics, corruption, leadership, or whatever that it is, and he's been able to.
They mentioned some issues of corruption under your watch. They talked about the Bust saga and some other ones, PDS and all of that. According to the National Democratic Congress and some other persons, they think that because your party is in power and it has to do with people in government, you would not have the will to be able to probe those issues to the latter and prosecute such persons, like the former President John Dramani Mahama did to some of his appointees.
Oh, which of them?
Would you agree with that?
Which of them? But I've told you that of all of the issues that have been brought on table, you mentioned them. What has been the action as far as those things are concerned?
They said they've been cleared.
No, cleared in what way? For instance, let's take the Australia, visa issue. The issue was, brought up. They referred it to the appropriate quarters. The CID investigated, came out with their report.
Okay.
You understand? Ken Bond issue, you saw the outcome of it from the Supreme Court. Okay. The Bust issue, it came up. The man had to be set aside and all of that.
Since he has been set aside, what happened?
What happened? The prosecution is ongoing. Maybe if you are not following.
Okay.
It's ongoing.
Okay.
It is not like there is no action. You understand? There have been series of actions taken against some of these people.
Okay.
Alongside former government appointees who are being, prosecuted in the same court. So when they come to tell us that they
talk PDS,
yes.
What happened?
Yeah.
What have you done with regards to the PDS issue?
Of course. The case is all under investigation and people are being questioned and all of that. You understand? So there are, all of the allegations and all those things that have been mentioned. You would appreciate that this is a president that have actually not slept over them.
Okay.
He's working on them. He has referred most of them to the appropriate courtesies, and they are being handled by those people who are supposed to handle them. So that is why I said it is laughable when you are chasing a thief and the thief turn around is chasing you and rather think that you are the thief. But in this instance, the NDC is telling us that they have set up a tracking device to be able to get all corruption-related issues about this government and all that. But the question we're asking is this: what track have you set on yourself with the issues of Airbus? Okay, with all of the issues that are surrounding Mr. John Mahama.
But they said you are in power. You have the prosecuting power. Why are you not prosecuting?
Oh yeah, there are processes. There are processes.
They've done something
going on in the quiet. Going on in the quiet, and at the appropriate time, when the issues begin to come up, I hope nobody will come up and say, oh, it is politics as usual and all of that. Okay. Because it is glaring and factually true that Mr. John Mahama has actually, caught himself up in some deals with this Airbus issue and all of that.
His name wasn't mentioned in there.
Well, you would say that. His name wasn't mentioned. And that's always the issue that keep these, in quotes, these criminals running away from justice and all of that. But as far as the facts are concerned, whether his name was mentioned directly or indirectly, there is an element of truism.
What are the facts? The fact in the report has to do with a certain government official with no name attached to it. I don't think that there's anybody in this country with a name government official one.
You see, that is, you see, all of these, issues of, conjectures and all that would have come to a proper conclusion if the man himself had come out to say, I am not government official one, or I am government official one, and I did so and so and so and so. But up till now, it's almost 3-4 months. The man hasn't spoken.
But if there's
but he has the courage going around to share PPEs,
if there's an issue
and do all manner of things.
Why should I come out and say that it is not me?
No, but what is it? Your name is mentioned.
His name wasn't mentioned.
What? Who is government official one?
Government official one is government official one.
The facts are pointing to the person that was involved. The facts are clear. You understand? The facts are clear. And at the time of government official one's name being mentioned, indicated that he was directly involved in this negotiation.
Okay.
You understand? And there are videos and all of those, pictorial evidence showing that this man was complicit in what he did. Do you remember a committee?
I'll come to you.
Don't worry. No, you are itching to
briefly. Our time is almost up, so
yes.
I will go.
Do you remember a committee that was purported to have been set up to investigate the Brazilian, aircraft issue? You remember? What has happened to that committee? You understand? And all those things will come to play when, the special prosecutor resume work properly very soon.
Okay. So are you saying that under President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo there hasn't been any issue of corruption?
No,
not even a single issue of corruption.
I have not said that.
I have not said that. Corruption-related issues.
Government is a human institution.
How many of such corruption-related issues under your watch have you been able to prosecute?
Oh, the NYA man has been, sacked.
Sacked?
Yes.
Sacked?
Yes.
Not prosecuted?
Well, I know that there are some investigation going on about him if it comes out that he's complicit in whatever that he has done. But on the face value of things, the president saw it as logic enough to ask him to step aside.
Okay.
Right. So for the NDC to come up with a tracker, I wonder what the tracker will be doing, if not repeating the same things they have told us since 2017 up to now.
All right, thank you so much for your submission, Wilson. Gafaru, now you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much. You see, I didn't want us to go on the tangent of simply alleging and then going away with that kind of
so correct those anomalies.
You see, Justice, let me first of all tell you that we introduced this corruption tracker series into our weekly press briefings.
Very well.
Because we realized that President Akufo-Addo is deliberately trying to always coming out with flowery speeches that he thinks would actually sweep under the carpet the fact that he is now known as being corrupt and then presiding over corruption.
What are some of the corruption related issues he has presided over? The president is corrupt. What corruption related issue has he engaged himself in? We want to know. Our viewers are interested.
We want our viewers and then we want Ghanaians to know that, including President Akufo-Addo, to know that whatever he does, he would not be able to free himself of the infamy of being named as the chief corruption clearing agent.
Okay.
Never would he be able to free himself of that infamy.
All right.
You see, he has just mentioned, because he has tried to actually shift the goalposts.
Okay.
We are to discuss, boss. We raised an issue today both corruption scandal. We raised that issue, and it is a topic of discussion. He tried to divert people's mind by starting to mention Airbus, whatsoever. You see, mentioning of Airbus, you are saying Nana Akufo-Addo, he rode on the back of corruption, anti-corruption, onto power.
Okay.
Now what have we seen? Almost 4 years. Who has he prosecuted? You see, we are not here. President Mahama said that he would never defend anyone who is found culpable of involving in corruption. That is what he said. And then we follow suit. I am not here to defend any act of corruption. You see, if anyone, you are having the mandate to actually prosecute anyone you found. Okay. And you have said that you have actually touted yourself for repealing the criminal libel law. You have touted yourself for establishing the office of the SP. Who has he? So you don't have the audacity or the temerity to tell Ghanaians that someone is corrupt. What have you done? The ball is in your court. What have you done to that? So if we are saying, we say with facts, and then
what are your facts?
Our facts is that you see, he made mention of even CID coming out to investigate the visa racketeering, and then the report. Where's the report? You are the media. Have you seen any report on that? This very boast corruption scandal, 2017, the first press meet the press by Akufo-Addo, President Akufo-Addo. What did he say? He mounted the podium to defend the MD of that, the then MD, by saying that it is baseless. The accusation is baseless. And after the energy minister formed the committee to investigate on that. They came out and said that it was criminal. Besides that, we all know that it is criminal because they sold about 5 million, that is 5 million liters of oil to a company or two companies that weren't licenses. And that is unlawful. That is illegal. It is illegal. And then it breaches section 11 and then 32 of the NPA Act 691. It breaches that. Besides that, it also breaches the PPA, Public Procurement Act 663. In that, you are not supposed, you understand, to just go and then choose anyone you want to trade with. It has to go through a tender process. They never did that. That also breaches the PPA Act. You understand? This is what we kept this in. And it was as a result of your own committee report. So when we are saying we speak with facts, you don't just come here and allege. You don't come. When you are going to allege, we know under the Amerdi what happened. President Akufo-Addo signed. And when he signed a fraudulent deal of about a whopping $580 million, a fraudulent deal. When he was caught up, what did he say? He only said that I was misled, and that is all. Did you say something about that? That he was misled, and that was just all. We speak with facts. We provide you from your own report. And President Akufo-Addo has done nothing with regards to that. You see, when we talk about this, what is it? Corruption. President Akufo-Addo being touted as incorruptible with those kind of credentials, it turned out to be a ruse. Nothing but a ruse. So we are saying that we would not allow President Akufo-Addo and his corrupt officials. In fact, people have likened them to an organized criminal syndicate of thieves who has just deceived people, the Ghanaian people, the innocent Ghanaians, came onto power to loot and share. And exactly that is what they are doing. Let's ask ourselves, you know it. What resources haven't you gotten? What have you done? Loot and share. Let's you stand here to talk about Airbus without proof. Please, I expected you to have asked him to prove. because no one has proven that, and then the ball is in your court. Prove that.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Gafari, for.
Can I prove that?
No, I mean, our time is up. Our time is up. I think
we'll be prove that is like
a lot of time. Gafari, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for coming. Let me take about 3 of our messages because we have a lot of messages. Good evening. The MPP man is telling lies. MPP made us to know that by now almost all of the NDC past officials will be in jail. Now, we know MPP is more corrupt than NDC. NDC is far better than the MPP. Nana Intema sent in that one. Nana, thank you so much for your message. This one says the MPP government is most corrupt government and will vote them out of power. You didn't add your name. And this one also says, from Kinazan, is that to do justice, the MPP man in your show, in your studio, is not really speaking the truth. I don't understand the head and tail of his submission. He seems to be confused. My regards to Honorable Al Hassan Umar, MP for Zabzugu constituency. Thank you so much for your message. Jay, thank you so much. I think Onyamibaya in Takrade sent it that one. Good evening, Jay. I think the MPP rep is not being really truthful with us on the program. He makes wild allegations without any facts to back it. Serious-minded people watch this program. From Bright in Takwa. Thank you so much. Well, I cannot take your messages anymore. My time is up. This is what time will allow us on the program for tonight. My name is Justice Appiah. The show has been Hotnews. My guests, of course, were Wilson Dabo, who is a member of the New Patriotic Party communications team, and also A.A. Gafaro, Deputy Northeast Regional Communications Officer of the National Democratic Congress. Keep watching Pan-African Television. Make a time with us, same time tomorrow. My name, once again, is Justice Appiah. Goodbye.